Hey guys, welcome back. It's Neon. I'm here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about we're actually going to have multiple videos this afternoon and evening on Marvel, on the MCU, and a lot of developments with the MCU because it is D23 weekend.
Yeah, I expect a lot of new information. If it's not on here, it'll be over at piratesandprincesses.net, so make sure you check that out. That is our Disney blog that we do also.
So, yeah, anyway, the Eternals, right? The Eternals is one of Jack Kirby's creations. It's not a very well-known creation by the general public, and Disney's gonna fix it. They're gonna fix that because they're actually bringing Jack Kirby to One Man's Dream. It's
called Walt Disney Presents now.
I keep getting that wrong. It's called Walt Disney Presents.
It used to be called One Man's Dream, and now they call it Walt Disney Presents. But what it is Walt Disney Presents is, I love it. It's one of my favorite things. It's over at Hollywood Studios. And it's like a really cool exhibit that rotates out stuff from Walt Disney and the parks and movies and different things like that. And now I guess they're trying to make people understand what the hell the Eternals are. Yeah,
so this is really interesting how they're doing this. So Disney is pimping Jack Kirby, while at the same time, the same week, Stan Lee's daughter is calling out Disney and Marvel, saying that they treated her father horribly, and those two gentlemen had a years-long rift.
I actually brought that up to you. I said, weren't they fighting all the time?
They fought up until the very end. Yeah, there almost was a reconciliation, I guess, in the 80s, and then there was a lawsuit, and it's a mess. So we're going to talk about that in this episode. If you have not subscribed yet to the channel, please do so. We passed 50,000 subs last week. We're hoping to hit 100,000 by the end of the year. I know I sound like a broken record, but deal with it.
Yeah.
So
that's how we
gotta grow the channel. Gotta grow the channel, people. Gotta grow the reef. Okay, so this is actually coming from WDW News Today. We had a friend kick it over to us. I did not know they were going to do this.
No, and they're going to actually try to go to it shortly, next week or something, if they can.
Yeah, so maybe we'll actually get some video or some photos or something. So they do rotate exhibits at Walt Disney Presents. I almost called it One Man's Dream. That was the movie. And, whatever they're trying to promote.
They used to call it One Man's Dream, didn't they? And then it became Walt Disney
Presents. Yeah, because the film is One Man's Dream.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about this is, one, I don't remember there being any sort of buildup that they were going to do this.
Wow, they're really pushing it.
They're really pushing it. Now, I have to admit, as a Silver Age comics fan, it's really freaking cool to see Jack Kirby's art like this in the parks on these big banners. His stuff really pops. He's one of the most distinctive comic book artists of all time. But there's a motivation to this. It's not just because Disney wants you to feel good about Jack Kirby, because he died before Disney bought Marvel.
This is because Disney knows that most people don't know who the hell the Eternals are, and they want to make sure they get out there and start pumping out their version of the Eternals so people actually know what the hell is going on. They'll come see the movie.
That is exactly it. Okay, so Marvel, because they're scraping the bottom of the barrel at this point for movies, because, of course we had, Fantastic Four and the X-Men tied up for years. They are coming back, but probably not until Phase 5. We've killed off or sidelined all the Avengers anybody cares about. Spider-Man's up in the air.
I like Black Widow, but they're going to ruin her.
Well, she's already dead. They're going to ruin her.
That's true. She's,
But, we don't know what's going to happen with Spider-Man currently. And so now they're scraping the bottom of the barrel, and they announced, hey guys, we're doing the Eternals. And everybody's like, what the hell is the Eternals? Normies don't know what the Eternals is. So Disney's going to educate the normies by putting these beautiful banners up
beautiful.
With Jack Kirby's art, and trying to explain who the Eternals are to the lay people. So when the movie comes out, hopefully some people will give a shit.
They actually made sure they put the names on it and everything else, so you know who the characters are.
Yeah, so gotta put a little trademark next to all these because they're gonna be action figures. They're too white. They're too white, all of these people. Jack Kirby, they've got his desk. I mean, this is like, it's good to see Jack Kirby's art represented and career represented this way, in such a kind of a big way in a Disney park. But you know that it's disingenuous, that the whole reason they're doing this is they just want to build brand awareness for this movie that nobody knows what it is. And they're hoping it's going to be like Guardians of the Galaxy, where, nobody knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy were, but they put a movie out it did well, and now they can put rides in the theme parks because Guardians of the Galaxy existed outside of that Avengers deal with Universal.
Well, this isn't coming out until like November of next year, right?
Yeah.
So I guarantee you by November of this year or earlier, you're going to start seeing promotion for it because no one knows who they are, and they have to build this whole audience for it. Because, I think that they're starting to learn that you can't just slap Marvel on and expect everybody to show up. Like an MCU movie and expect everybody to show up.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that because that actually is another video where we're going to talk about whether or not the wheels have come off of the MCU bandwagon. I think after Endgame and with them potentially losing Spider-Man, I don't know how many people are really going to care.
Right. But
they're going to promote it anyway. And again, normies who don't know any better are going to be like, this must have been one of Marvel's most popular comic books of all time. And it really kind of came and went. And, by the time Jack Kirby died, a lot of people had actually forgotten about it. Mm-hmm. But this is cool. I mean, it's really cool.
That is really cool.
To see Kirby's art like this.
Now, to those who've never been to the theater or been to Walt Disney Presents, you're like, oh my gosh, they have a lot of stuff. It's really easy for them to swap the stuff out. They do it all the time for different things. I've seen them do things. You're like walking the red carpet and stuff before, and they have different ones. They switch them out really fast. So having the wraps and the doors and stuff, that's nothing. They do that overnight. They flip them like that. So
I just think it's weird they made him a Disney legend, and Disney bought Marvel 15 years after he died.
When did they make him a Disney legend?
I don't know. Actually, to tell you the truth, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure.
Disney legend. I'm like, when is
Disney legend? Jack Kirby. I don't know. I mean, it's obviously he wasn't around when all this went down, but it is good to see his stuff represented like this. So Disney's giving Jack Kirby the I'd say the red carpet treatment, but it's more of a brown. He's getting the brown.
There's
carpet
some reddish in there.
A little bit of red. So Jack Kirby's getting
busy carpet treatment.
Yeah, so Jack Kirby is getting the busy carpet treatment, and according to Stan Lee's daughter, Marvel and Disney gave Stan Lee the treatment, and they did not treat him very well. So this is making the rounds, and it's actually, I would like to say it's surprising, but there were all kinds of weirdness around Stan Lee in his last days. With reports of him being abused. Reports of people, squandering his money.
Yes.
I mean, the guy was 95 years old. He was surrounded with a bunch of parasites.
He always had a smile on his face, though. He always smiling.
He was always smiling. We saw him in person when was that? Baltimore. And he was going to the bathroom, and he was smiling going to the bathroom.
He'd wave at you when he would go to the bathroom and stuff. He's just like, we happened to be on the way to the restroom. And he would wave and say...
Yeah, he was very nice. Very small. He was very small.
Yeah, he was very small.
And I think it's either him or his assistant really liked Orange Crush, because there were like umpteen empty cans of Orange Crush. Now, I don't know if that's how they kept Stan going.
I don't know.
But it's just like, okay, Stan, here, drink a 6-pack before we bring the line in. But that line, man, that wrapped around the entire...
It was huge.
It was huge. That was like 2012, I think. Okay, so... They're talking about how Stan Lee's daughter blasts Marvel for having no respect for her dad's legacy. And I actually have to agree with that, because if you've seen where the comics have headed the last few years, it's clear to Disney that they're just going to strip mine these guys' legacy for their own, commercial fame, movie fame, fortune, hopefully, and for them. And, they're just, I mean, Stan Lee is basically IP. He's basically Disney IP at this point. But yeah, she said when my father died, this is Joan Celia Lee, JC Lee, when my father died, no one from Marvel or Disney reached out to me.
That's terrible.
From day one, they have commoditized my father's work.
Made him IP.
Made him IP and never shown him or his legacy any respect or decency. In the end, no one could have treated my father worse than Marvel and Disney executives. Ouch.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Ouch. And we know with the situation with Comicsgate, Marvel trotted Stan Lee out, probably gave him half a story and had him condemn people who didn't like, the race bending and whatever in the comics. And he did almost become just a costume character at the end. And it's very, very sad. It's very sad that happened. But I can't believe that nobody from Marvel or Disney reached out to her. Like, you would think they would send her some flowers, a card. I mean, your dad and folks like Jack Kirby Steve Ditko built
Pretty much, yes.
built this thing, and they don't care. They don't care. So it's not entirely clear what Jonah's referring to beyond Disney and Marvel not reaching out to her after her father's death last November, but it is abundantly clear that she feels the studios mistreated her dad. She also showed her support for Sony Studios getting another shot bringing Spider-Man to the big screen. So she's actually thrown in with Sony. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Marvel and Disney, seeking total control of my father's creations, must be checked and balanced by others who, while still seeking the profit, have genuine respect for Stan Lee and his legacy. Those are some harsh words.
Yeah.
Whether it's Sony or someone else, the continued evolution of Stan's characters and his legacy deserves multiple points of view. So that's harsh.
I'm just thinking about Abigail Disney too, wasn't she Roy Disney's granddaughter?
Yeah.
And she's out there calling Disney out on the way that the cast members are treated and how they treat their employees and how they don't pay them enough and things. So it's interesting to me that these women are coming forward that are, related to these people and calling out Disney for their crap.
Aren't you supposed to listen to all women?
Yeah, not only certain women. Well, if that was the case, people wouldn't go around saying that everybody who hates She-Ra are all men. They would listen to the women who hate it too. But no. You only have to listen to the women that apply to your argument.
So I'm just saying, because if Disney really wants to be that quote-unquote woke, you think that you've got daughters and granddaughters of very prominent creators of Disney legends coming to you and saying, we have a huge problem.
Right.
They shouldn't just sweep them under the rug.
I believe it too. I'll tell you why. Because I've heard the comments, like we've mentioned many times before, about Iger basically saying, we don't even have to advertise Star Wars. And it's this attitude, this arrogant attitude that has been becoming more and more prevalent in the recent years. And I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it from quotes from these people. I'm seeing it in the way things are done with things. When you get deeper into like how media works and all that, I will admit, like some of the magic's ruined by the time you go for that access. You want that thinking, hey, cool, I get to go do things early. But a lot of it gets kind of ruined in the veil's been lifted and you can't put it back down.
Yeah, you can never unsee it. I mean, that's kind of like with us. I mean, we're always big Disney fans, and the worst thing you can do as a Disney fan is peek behind the curtain. Mm-hmm. That's the worst thing you can do, especially now. Like, I really think the culture has changed dramatically in the last 5 or 10 years. I think the success has gotten to Disney, and I think they're invincible.
And what I feel bad for is the people that work there. A lot of people that work there are really good people, and they really honestly, legitimately want people to have a good time. They want to spread that magic. It matters to them to do the best job in Imagineering, to do the best job, in customer service, to do the best job, as a character. And those people aren't the ones I'm talking about, because they still love it and they're doing everything they can to do what they can to make it magical. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking people the higher ups who just everything's a piggy bank. You know what I'm saying? And they're the ones that mistreat people like Stan Lee and act like we don't need to advertise because we're Disney. They're not, and I feel bad because the people that are down below that are really trying are the ones who get the brunt of the crap because people up high acting like asshats.
Yeah, and to Disney, it's like they own you. They own you, and I mean that's what I'm kind of looking at this with Jack Kirby. Like as cool as it is to see Jack Kirby's art that big.
That's really
in a Disney park. Like,
I'd like to see his art desk because it amuses me because I've seen your desks with all the pencil and stuff on it, and that's what it reminds me of. Anyway. But
I mean, this is like classic Kirby. This is a classic Kirby space. I mean, his stuff was so distinctive, and to see that represented in the parks is amazing. But then to know that like they're only doing it to cash in, to get people aware of what the Eternals
right,
was.
they're only doing it so they can sell tickets.
So they can sell tickets to this movie.
As it stands now, people don't know who the heck they are. Most people.
And it kind of goes along with the settlement. Now, there was a lawsuit between Kirby's heirs and Marvel. It was a very notable lawsuit, went on for years.
I remember that.
Years, and they finally settled it because of the movies. Basically, Disney didn't. I think they did not want to take any chances with there being potentially some problems, making movies down the road. And of course, if this had not been settled, we probably would not be looking at the Eternals.
That poster is pretty cool, though.
It is pretty cool. It kind of has that Kirby look to it with those like long dashes. It looks. I mean, we'll see. We'll see if it's good. But it's interesting, the story, and there are comics historians who spend countless hours writing articles on the history of Marvel and the fallout between Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. I am not one of those people, but they did have a huge fallout. And, you know, they almost got together again back in the 80s, but a wrench was thrown into it. Apparently, Jack Kirby's wife, reading this article, Jack Kirby's wife was like, over my dead body, you know, you're not getting back together with Stan Lee.
I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with her, but I'm just like, as your wife, I've been known to be like this too, so. I
won't point this out, because right now, especially with Disney, you know, again, I think this 80th anniversary, this Marvel 80th anniversary thing is a bullshit PR move from Disney, because it's only 80 years if you count the Timely comics, which technically weren't the Marvel. I mean, they did pull some of those characters back into the Marvel universe in the 60s and 70s, but it technically was not Marvel comics as we know it. That didn't start until the 60s. But I thought this is really interesting. Jim Shooter, who is considered by many to be the best Marvel editor of all time, said that I love this because they make these guys out to be legends. They were, but they were misfits too. The perception that a bunch of all-time greats got together and built Marvel, Jim Shooter said more than 30 years later, is wrong. Stan got his job because he was Martin Goodman's relative. Jack and Steve Ditko, Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko, and most of the other artists there were complete losers. They were guys that couldn't get work at the good company at the time, which was DC. The other companies had all died. At DC, these guys were a joke. They couldn't shine the shoes of Kurt Swan, who drew Superman. This was a bunch of has-beens and never-wases. That was then, in 1961, the has-been Kirby and the never-was Lee, Stan Lee, the nephew, pulled their talents and sired the Marvel age, and now here we are.
You know, that's, you know,
here we are.
For anything you could take away from this is, if you're somebody who thinks, oh, it's past my time, I can't do this, or no matter what I do, I'm never going to get a chance. Just because they said no doesn't mean you can't do it.
Yeah, I kind of look at this a lot with what's going on in comics now. Where,
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, the comic book industry right now has become such a gated community, and it's sort of imploding. And there are people on the outside who are the outsiders who are actually, you know, rocking it in comics right now.
They said no, but that doesn't mean you have to stop. That doesn't mean you never get a chance. So if nothing else from this video, I hope that those of you out there who are thinking you can't do it, you know, I'm too old to do it, those people don't ever answer me, screw them.
Screw them.
You don't need them. They didn't need them, and now look how big Marvel is. Even though it's questionable about some of the things they do now.
Just keep your rights. Hang on to your rights.
That's right. But I'm just saying, you know, you don't. Your takeaway from this thing at all. There's positive on this, which is, you know, they're acknowledging Kirby, and two, you can go out there and you can do it, even if they tell you you can't. Just F them. Go ahead.
F them. But yeah, very interesting to see the difference. Or how that Disney is dealing with Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. And it does, I mean, this is great to see, but again, it just feels like to them, they are the IP. Jack Kirby and Stan Lee are the IP.
It's great to see, but to people like us who are trained and know how the machine works, it's disheartening because you know what they're putting out there, what people are taking it as, and what the intention are two different things.
Yeah.
Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
Everybody's taking it as, oh my gosh, it's amazing, but we know the intention isn't exactly for pure and, you know, loving reasons. It's because they want to promote the hell out of Eternal so people actually show up.
Yep, that's what this is about. At the end of the day, all of this is about getting butts in seats to watch these billion-dollar movies, and you know, nothing else. And that's actually sad. It's not actually sad that apparently Stan Lee's daughter couldn't even get a phone call.
I mean, if they had called her. If they had been promoting Kirby when they got the legend status and doing all this then, you know, it would have been a genuine thing. But you're only doing it now because you want to try to get people to come to your movie. And that just makes it feel disingenuous.
I think that's the place where everybody's at with Disney right now. We do a lot of videos where a lot of things that Disney does now just feels disingenuous. Feels like there's always an ulterior motive.
Everybody's catching it now.
Everybody's catching on. The facade's been dropped.
Right, because before, people like us who were on the back end of it could tell. But now everybody can tell.
Yeah, now it's very, very obvious. Very obvious what's actually going on. So, still, I would like to see this in person. So we'll have to check it out.
Oh, definitely, I would like to.
All right, so we're gonna wrap this one up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Again, we're gonna have more Marvel videos today. We might have Star Wars video and whatever else comes up this weekend.
There's a lot of stuff coming up. So stay tuned to here and to PiratesandPrincesses.net.
All right, see you later, guys.
Bye.
Hey guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.